Hey, welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we are getting into a huge question about human nature, and it's all based on some fascinating new research. The question is this: are we kind because of who we are, or is it more about where we are?
All right, so to really dig into this, I want to start by asking you a question. Really think about it. Your generosity, how honest you are, your kindness, is that just a constant part of you? Is it something that's switched on all the time, no matter what's going on?
Because we've all seen this, right? A friend who's normally super generous suddenly acts selfishly. Or maybe a colleague who's usually pretty quiet and reserved is the first one to step up and help somebody out. That inconsistency, well, that is the puzzle we are going to try and solve today.
A couple of researchers, Natalie Popov and Isabel Fielman, they came up with this really cool new framework that kind of flips this whole idea on its head. They suggest that our personality traits, they're not always on. Instead, they get activated by the specific situations we find ourselves in. So, to really get this, there are two big ideas from their research we need to wrap our heads around. First, we have to define the behavior we're even talking about. And second, we've got to understand what makes a situation so incredibly powerful. And that behavior is what psychologists call pro-social behavior. It's this big umbrella term for, basically any action that helps another person. It can be small things, big things, doesn't matter. This is the positive outcome we're trying to figure out.
Okay, now here is the really crucial part. I want you to think of a situation as a lock. It creates an opportunity, or what the researchers call an affordance, for a certain kind of behavior to pop up. And this is where it all snaps into place. Your specific personality trait, that's the key. And only the right key can fit into that situational lock to, open the door for that kind pro-social behavior.
So let's jump into the framework and see how this whole thing is built. The research points to four major types of situations, so four different locks that need four very different personality keys.
Okay, lock number one. Picture this. You're at a self-serve coffee shop, and they've just got an honor system payment box. You could very easily just grab a coffee and walk out without paying. That situation, that's a lock. It's testing your basic integrity when nobody's looking. And that brings us to the key that fits. Traits like empathy and altruism. If you've got this key, it means you have this unconditional concern for other people. You're probably going to pay, not because you're afraid of getting caught, but just because it feels like the right thing to do for the owner and for everyone else.
Now, this second lock shows up when you get a chance to react to how someone else acted. So, for example, a coworker stays late to help you finish a huge project. A week goes by, and now you have a chance to return the favor. So the key for this lock is a conditional concern. It's about traits like forgiveness or a tendency to pay kindness back with kindness. It's not about being nice out of the blue. It's about being nice in response to someone else being nice to you first. All right, this one. This is a conflict between what's good for you in the short term and what's good for the group in the long term. Think about choosing to take the bus to help the environment, even though driving is way faster and easier for you right now. And the key for this lock? It's self-control. It's that ability to think about future consequences. It's being able to put off that immediate gratification for a better, shared result later on. Okay, last one. This is any situation where what happens to you depends on what somebody else does, and you have no idea what they're going to do. Like, say, trusting your teammate to get their part of a huge project done on time. The final key is pretty simple. It's your general trust in other people. If you just believe, deep down, that people are mostly good and you can count on them, you're way more likely to cooperate and take that leap of faith in these uncertain moments. So here it is, the whole framework right here. And the theory is, well, it's really elegant. If you know the situation, that's the lock, and you know the person's personality, that's the key, you should be able to predict if they'll act kindly. But the million-dollar question is, does it actually work? A beautiful theory is one thing, right? But the researchers had to actually test it to see if these lock and key pairs really predict how people behave out in the real world. So how'd they do it? Well, they started with a massive study. They got nearly 2,500 people to fill out these really detailed questionnaires to figure out their specific personality traits. Basically, they were checking to see which keys each person was carrying on their keychain. Then, and this is the cool part, they had all these people play a series of economic games, and these were high-stakes games with real money on the line. Each game was super cleverly designed to create one of those specific situational locks we just talked about.
So what happened? The results were really interesting. And, like a lot of good science, it was a little bit messy, a little bit mixed, which actually tells us the story is even more complicated than we thought. They found the strongest evidence for one specific pair, the lock of dependence under uncertainty and the key of trust. Turns out people who trusted others more really were more cooperative. But the link between the temporal conflict lock and the self-regulation key, that was a lot weaker, which suggests that maybe that particular lock and key combo is a bit more complex. So in the end, the researchers basically concluded that, hey, this framework has a ton of promise, but the way our personality and our situation interact, it's just really, really complex. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Why does any of this matter for how we think about ourselves and about other people? Well, it really suggests that being a good person isn't some fixed state. It's not something you either are or you aren't. It's more like we're all walking around with this toolkit full of keys, and the situations we run into every single day are what decide which of those keys we actually get to use. And that leaves us with a really powerful final thought. Maybe the secret to a kinder world isn't just about trying to change people from the inside out. Maybe it's about us becoming better architects, better designers of the situations, the locks that we all have to navigate together.